Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is National Tesla and Gong coming to you from Fully Charged Live, and this is the MG4, the car which got a fair number of eyeballs in this entire Fully Charged Live show. Now, if you've not watched my other Fully Charged Live videos, there's an entire playlist of them. Please do check them out. Now, this is the view from the rear passenger seat of the car, and you can see that it's no longer a traditional dash in the car. There are two screens in front. There's one for the driver and there's one for the infotainment. We'll see that in just a bit. As you can see, this is a right-hand drive car, but I believe this is not the actual Australian specs, and this is what you get when you try to alight into the driver's seat of the car. Now, my good mate EVHQ, whom I finally met at FCL Live, did make this observation. He said, hey, we have seen this styling of steering wheel somewhere before. Now, while we are on the topic of this flattened steering wheel, I believe this sort of satisfies people who want both a yoke and for people who want a circular steering wheel. So this is best of both worlds. Maybe. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Now, without passenger and drivers inside, this is the look of the car. You'll see it's super minimalist. There's a single dial in the middle, which is the gear selector, and there is a parking brake there. And because there are two small screens, in fact, the driver's screen is smaller than the infotainment screen, you get unobtrusive views of the road ahead when you sit inside, and we'll see that in just a bit. Now, let's quickly look at the boot. It is quite a cavernous boot, and I have all the specs in the end of this video so you can actually skip ahead. Now, let's zoom in, and you can see that the rear two seats are a 60-40 split. There is no sub-trunk. There is just some knickknacks, the air pumps, and the first aid kit is there. With regards to charging, the charge port is on the rear left, and it has both an AC Type 2 connector and a CCS2 under this port plug. Pretty sweet. Now, as you can see, there's a small little jutting in the back of this car. It is for the styling, the rear styling, and there is also this dual spoiler which is there. Only in this version, I think this is in the extended premium version, but this jutting out does have some lights and some styling there. Pretty cool. I don't know why it is there. It is a little odd, but I guess it differentiates. You can see it from the side of the car as well. Pretty cool, particularly when you close the boot. It does look nice. Okay, now the driver in front has pushed back the seats all the way to the back, and the gap that you have, or the rear passenger seats, is quite tight. When the seat in front is all the way to the back, a person like me, a large person like me, finds it quite tight to sit there. As you can see, I barely have any place to move, but I guess in a traditional driving position it won't be too bad. I'm trying to wiggle around, and my good mate Outback Tesla Richard is trying to help me film this. Big thank you to Richard as well. Thanks, mate. Now, this is me getting inside, and there are electric adjustable seats. There is no lumbar support. It is just a 5-way seat at this time. And we have to reach through this flattened steering wheel to access the front screen. I believe it is not a touch screen in the front. We can only use the buttons on the right hand side of the steering wheel to access sub-menus inside the driver screen. The infotainment screen is a decent screen. It was responsive to touch. It is not a great software, but as you know, the car does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, so we are okay there. The driving position is quite nice. This flattened steering wheel, or the squarish steering wheel, is actually quite comfortable, to be honest. And those buttons are quite responsive. You can see in the left hand side there is a star button right there, and we can actually program some sub menu that you want to access into that star button, and it will give you quick access to that. If you want to say save the driver profile, or if you want to say heating, or save something else like that, you can put it in that star. Now we tried to access the navigation system, it didn't really work very well. Like I said, the screen is super responsive, no difficulty there.
And we have this. So this is the main console as well. It's quite responsive. It's quite good, isn't it? It's actually pretty good. And they have a home button to.
And there are some physical buttons under the screen as well, and there is a home button there.
There as well. So it's a physical.
Parking lights, you can access the defroster, both the front windshield and the rear defroster over there. You can increase the volume there. There is a volume up and volume down button. So there are some physical buttons there just underneath the screen for people who use them.
Maybe navigation is not activated yet.
This is us trying to fiddle with the maps and see if we can access the maps, but no use.
Do they have a?
Again, this is just a display vehicle, so we don't expect too much out of it.
I wonder if they have a. And this one's pretty cool.
Now, one more time, we're going to give you a quick look at the bottom there. You can see there is a cup holder of sorts.
A couple of cup holders there.
2 cup holders to be precise.
And this one.
And there's some more storage there, which is not too bad. If you look up from the driver and passenger side, you have the sunglass visor holder and a few more buttons. Everybody likes buttons, I think. And there we go. Alright guys, now let's look at the specs of this car. If you're not aware of this, MG released something called a modular scalable platform, which is their latest EV platform where they're going to create ground up electric vehicles, and they said they can use that same platform, which is like a skateboard design with integrated batteries into the actual car itself, very similar to Tesla's design. And with this they can scale from either a sedan, an SUV into an MPV, and this is the sedan which they released in the UK, and now we are expecting it to come to Australia as well. So this is a great platform and we're hoping to see more and more. They are going to start with the rear wheel design, and that is what we have here with this MG4. Both the versions of MG4 which are available right now are the rear wheel design, and later in this year we may see a dual motor all wheel design as well, and that is something to look out for. Now let's look at the individual specs and see what we have. I'll leave all the links to the articles that I use in the description of this video, so do check them out. At this time, MG is offering 2 battery versions. One is a smaller 51 kilowatt hour battery with a range of about 355 to 365 kilometers, and a larger extended range version which has a 64 kilowatt hour battery giving a range of about 400 to 420 kilometers of real world range. And MG says the top acceleration speed from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour is 7.9 seconds, and the top speed is 160 kilometers per hour. The motors are 150 kilowatt motors throwing out a torque of 250 Newton meters. The battery, like I said, will be a 51 versus a 64 kilowatt hour battery. It's a 400 volt architecture, and the usable battery for the larger version will be about 61.7 kilowatt hour. With regards to charging, there are 2 charging options, obviously, like every electric car. An AC charger, which is 11 kilowatt AC charger. It gives you a time of charge going from 0 kilometers to 365 kilometers for the larger battery of about 6 hours 45 minutes. It's in the left rear, as you saw in this video, in the earlier part of this video. The DC fast charging is a 135 kilowatt DC charger, and it goes from 30 kilometers to 290 or 300 kilometers in about 34 minutes. Obviously, we know the last 10% always takes much longer with DC charging so that the battery can be conserved. There's an important, interesting feature in this car, which is V2X or bi-directional charging. They say a vehicle to load with a maximum output of 2.2 kilowatt AC is available with the car. There is no other vehicle to home or vehicle to grid option available with either of these versions. We're not sure if the dual motor or a larger battery will be offered later on. So that is that, guys. The car does come with a great safety feature. Euro NCAP is 5 stars. I'm sure the same will be there with the Australian safety as well. If you are into dimensions, I'll very quickly go through that. The length of the car is 4,287 millimeters. Width is 1,836 millimeters. The width with mirrors is 2,060 millimeters. The height is 1,504 millimeters. Wheelbase is 2,705 millimeters. And the weight unladen will be 1,785 kilograms with a gross weight of 2,133 kilograms. The cargo load has a volume of 363 liters with a maximum cargo volume of 1,177 liters. There is no front trunk because it is all completely filled with mechanics. There is no chance of a roof load available. There is a tow hitch possible with this car, and a towing weight of about 500 kilometers is what they say is possible. So there we go. MG is super tight-lipped about the price of this car at this time, but if they price it around the 40,000 Australian dollars to 45,000 Australian dollars mark, I think they have a great vehicle at hand and they will go for a killing. That's all guys, thank you very much for watching. This is Nash from Tesla and the Gong, signing off. Peace.